You guys, today we have the joy, the pleasure of Dr. Jane Simmons and Home for the Holidays, she says. I'm going to give you a quick background. Kyle gives us some here, and then we know that Jane holds a doctoral degree in theology from Holos and is an ordained Unity minister. She retired from the pulpit in 2020. However, ministered to 4 Unity churches at that time, served in the international teen ministry, 2020 recipient of Unity's Light of God Expressing Award. We know from our own experience that Jane is a powerful speaker, an author, workshop facilitator, trainer, and educator with a focus on virtual learning. Currently a member of adjunct faculty at Unity's Worldwide Spiritual Institute. And then along with her husband, Gary, they co-facilitate an integral ministry certificate program. And then with a passion for heart-centered transformation, Jane's committed to helping bring forth a kinder, more compassionate world. And we could use some of that. Jane, what do you have for us today?
Thank you for that lovely intro. First of all, I want to say how sorry I am to hear the news about Paul Hasselbeck. He is a good friend of Gary's and mine and a wonderful teacher. And I loved how he questioned everything and just opened my mind up to a lot of really beautiful truths. So he is beloved and greatly missed by all. So I bless you all as you have your honoring of him next week. So I know it looks like I am in. I know it looks like I'm sitting on a beach somewhere warm. In fact, I am in Canada, in the Atlantic time zone. My daughter lives in Nova Scotia, and I'm here visiting my grandkids and having a wonderful visit with them. So I had a moment this morning about time zones and trying to make sure I got here at the right time because I'm so delighted to be joining you this morning. I always enjoy being with this wonderful community. Christmas is really my favorite time of year, and um, and it brings out something in me that is the magic of the season. I really love that. So, as my talk title is Home for the Holidays. And I don't know about you, but during the holiday season, I often think very lovingly and longingly of home and family. In my childhood home, my mother was so creative. She always made it special. And so this time of year, I always have a great yearning to be with family. And so, what is that magnet that kind of draws us home? I mean, it's kind of like having a homing device within us, and also a high expectation of a Hallmark Christmas when we get there. Even though Christmas is not always what we anticipate, it's very rarely the Hallmark version, in fact. So I read the story, a true story about a kindly 90-year-old grandmother who was buying presents for her large family and friends. She found it just a bit much one Christmas. So instead, she wrote out checks for everyone and put them all in the Christmas cards. And she wrote, buy your own present after her name on each card and happily sent them off to everyone. Well, after the Christmas festivities were over, she was clearing off her desk, and guess what she found? All the checks that were supposed to accompany the cards. So everybody received a Christmas card from her without a check saying, buy your own present. So, oops, that's what you call a Christmas blooper. And you know what? I have great compassion for this grandmother. I can just imagine how that was for her. So, Christmas doesn't always turn out the way we think it should. And yet, there's still this strong desire to be with loved ones, to celebrate it, and for our connection to home to really connect. Although I know that isn't everyone's experience. You know, sometimes some families enjoy the distance. So here's the thing, home for the holidays doesn't necessarily mean physically returning to a place. but rather it's this deep feeling within ourselves of a homecoming, a reconciliation. Something in us knows that there is, um, that there is, something more, something, a home. It's a yearning for us and so it's sort of like a divine homesickness, this yearning to return. And I think it's kind of ironic that so many of us have this homing instinct during the holidays, and yet the very first Christmas is recorded as having taken place far from home. Christmas, it has been written, was an event for a crude manger near a not very impressive first century hotel. So, a hotel or an inn is a place you stay when you're not home. And this hotel was definitely not a 5 star. Wasn't a Hilton, wasn't a Marriott. It was probably pretty shabby, dirty, uncomfortable. In those days, travelers brought their own food, even cooking utensils, even bedding. It was temporary lodging. That's what we're talking about. And that is where Christmas came, in temporary lodging, as the story goes. So, what does this mean for us if we're looking at this kind of metaphysically? Well, guess what? God is everywhere present in each and every scene. And Christmas is meant to happen right where we are, wherever we are temporarily lodging as spiritual beings living on this physical plane. And the thing I love the most about the Christmas story is the universality of its message: peace on earth. Some people think it has more of a metaphorical meaning to it, with all the characters reflecting parts of each one of us on our spiritual journey. Others believe it to be a true story of a historic event. Still, others look to it as a legend. And whether we believe it to be true or not, it really doesn't matter, because the real meaning is encoded within the story itself, the real deeper meaning. And so the metaphysical symbology of the Christmas story is all about transformation. From the divine marriage of Joseph and Mary, which is the harmony and balance between our intellect, between our feeling nature, the head and the heart, when that happens, something new can be born. Something new can come forth when that harmony is there. And the truth is that the deep meaning of Christmas, it's not found only in the Gospels. The idea of a virgin birth is found in many traditions predating Christianity, from Egyptian lore to the Aztecs. Moses and Abraham had bright stars shining when they were born. The births of Krishna, Buddha, the Greek god Apollo, they were all foretold by stars with angelic beings proclaiming the news. So Jesus wasn't the only one. He wasn't the only one with visitors bearing gifts. Krishna was also given gifts of sandalwood, perfumes. The Buddha visited by the Rishi, who brought costly jewels, precious substances. Confucius was visited by wise men. So the roots of the Christmas story reach far, far deeper than we often realize, and they have great meaning for us right here, right now. And when we look at the earlier writings in the Hebrew scriptures, we find previews of this coming attraction. This is a tale of hope. It's a tale of joy, and it begins with a prophecy. Christmas came early for the prophet Isaiah, who is recorded as saying in Isaiah 9:2, "The people who walked in darkness have seen a great light, for a child has been born for us, a child given to us. Authority rests upon his shoulders. He is named Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His authority shall grow continually, and there shall be endless peace." How I love that Bible verse. I love it. And I love hearing it sung in the Messiah even more so. Now, prophets in those days were spiritual advisors, but they also gave counsel on international affairs. So Isaiah was looking at the big picture. He was a visionary. And I think we're still working on seeing that vision as reality, bringing it home, as it were. So Isaiah saw it and spoke it. He got his Christmas shopping done early, 700 or so years early. And so here's the thing. For 700 years, the people waited in anticipation, wondering with the birth of every male child, is this the one? Is this the one that's been foretold? And as we turn to the Christmas story, we want to awaken to the realization that within each one of us is the one, is the one. It's awaiting our recognition. It's yearning to be brought forth. It's ready to be born. And that's the true homecoming for us. This is the story of every heart's awakening to its own divine potential. It's a reminder of our purpose here on earth. It's helping us to come home to who we really are as we remember our oneness with God. And the real beauty of this story speaks of this divine reconciliation. And that's the homecoming that begins to happen. Now, how did we get lost in the first place if we're kind of wandering looking for home? Well, it all begins with a mistaken belief in separation. Way, way back in the book of Genesis, Adam and Eve lived in the bliss of the garden until they ate that pesky fruit. And again, metaphysically, Adam is the intellect, Eve, the feminine nature within all of us. And here's the thing, as we bought into this world of duality, heart and mind, I mean, we took the whole thing in. As we took on this belief in good and evil, we exited the garden. We exiled ourselves. So this wasn't a one-time event millennia ago. We do this every single day by listening only to the voice of the ego, which would be the serpent in the story. We keep ourselves continually banished. You know, Adam and Eve, it said, hid from God among the trees. And interestingly, if you think about this, the trees that express the beauty of spirit, they actually could be an instrument of revealing God, instead became a way of hiding from God. So are you seeing something important here for us? Spirit is all around us, everywhere present, playing hide and seek. And as we become absorbed in the trees of the garden, the outer world, well, what happens? We can keep ourselves so busy we hide from God. So here's a question for us. Are we feeling very busy right now dealing with the outer trappings of Christmas, maybe even a little stressed out and hiding from God? I mean, isn't it ironic that the whole message of Christmas, peace on earth, can be lost because we're so wrapped up literally in the busyness of the season? So we have left that garden, our home, and we feel the loss, usually by a feeling of divine discontent, divinely homesick, longing to return. But there's good news, because what does the Christmas story tell us? Well, that we can all head home for the holidays. You see, if Adam and Eve have left home and gone into hiding from God, guess what? The birth of the Christ child leads us right back to that inner garden. That's the good news. It's all about transformation. It's all about being who we've come here to be. So this story of the expulsion out of the garden is one of entering the darkness that Isaiah speaks of, not seeing it right. You know, in the darkness, ropes look like snakes and shadows become monsters, and we can easily become lost in that darkness. But the birth of the Christ is the dawning of a new awareness that takes us from that darkness to the light of understanding, the light of realization of who we truly are. Now, I read the story of a rabbi who was giving instruction to some children, and he posed this question to them: how do you know the night is over and the day has come? And these children had many answers, like when you can look at a tree and know whether it's an apple or a pear tree, or when you see an animal in the distance and you know it's a donkey instead of a horse. And the rabbi acknowledged all their answers and added, you will know that night is over and day has come when you look into the eyes of any human being and see there your brother or sister. That's the light. That's what the light brings us. So it's that recognition of truth that happens when the Christ is born within us. You know, there's a saying that people change not by seeing the light, but by feeling the heat, right? And seeing the Christ in each other is what turns up that heat. That's really exciting, I think. You know, I spent some time in airports on this trip, and they were beautifully decorated. Christmas songs playing in the background. People seemed to be in quite a celebrating mood. And it felt wonderful to just be in that atmosphere for me, waiting for my flights. And I spent some time people watching. And I really loved it as I waited for those for my flights to arrive. There was a young mom with a baby who just opened my heart. Now, this is not her. This is a rendition of her. I didn't take a picture of her, but she was with her young baby and delighting in that child, just delighting in the child. It was a very sweet moment to share that with her. I saw a couple with small kids. They were really sharing in the excitement of Christmas travel with them. There was just this real sense of celebration and love. And as I sat there, I was reading things on my computer and I came across a story about someone who had an amazing experience in an airport one time. It's called The Homecoming. So let me share that with you. The author wrote, while waiting to pick up a friend at an airport in Portland, Oregon, I had one of those life-changing experiences where you hear other people talk about, the kind that kind of sneaks up on you unexpectedly. This one occurred a mere 2 feet away from me. Straining to locate my friend among the passengers heading toward me, I noticed a man coming my way, and he stopped right next to me to joyfully greet and hug his family. One by one, he told them how much he had missed them, how glad he was to see them, how much they meant to him. And after a wonderfully long family embrace, he pulled back and he gently took his young daughter from his wife, held her close to his chest while rocking her from side to side. And the little girl instantly relaxed and simply laid her head on his shoulder, motionless in pure contentment. And the author writes, I was so engrossed in this display of unconditional love. And even though it felt like I was kind of invading something sacred, I found myself asking, wow, how long have you been away from your family? And the man answered, 2 whole days. I was stunned, she says, by the intensity of the greeting. I assumed he had been gone for weeks or months. 2 days, I said to him. I hope my marriage and family is this loving. He looked me straight in the eye. He said, don't hope, decide. And he turned and walked away with his family. And at that moment, my friend came up to me and she asked, what are you looking at? I said, my future. Now, as I read this story, I realized something, that when we see each other with the eyes of that kind of love, the Christ is born in that very moment. The Nativity is an unfinished story. It's a never-ending story. And we have that opportunity every moment to see the gift, to see the beauty all around us, to value and honor our families, our friends, to feel the peace and the goodwill that naturally arises when I return to that experience of presence. That is the true homecoming. And it can happen in the everyday moments of life. Because Christmas comes at the intersection of the sublime and the mundane. You see, there's angels and shepherds. There's stars and mangers. The word becomes flesh. Now, this is good news for us because it means that the opportunity to evolve, to become more of who we truly are for every single one of us is right here, right now, in every hour of the day. See, the holy resides in the kitchen, the classroom, the boardroom, the nursing home, at the computer, with our immediate families, our friends, our relatives, our communities. It hides in the ordinary. Wherever we are, God is. And the Christmas story reveals most dramatically that God is not some far off, distant, absentee landlord, but that the kingdom is within our midst. It's within us, right here, right now. And as we come together in that state of oneness and honoring the presence, being the presence, we bring the peace on earth to our planet, one person at a time, one heart at a time. And the story of the birth of the Christ child is the exciting homecoming that we long for. Do you remember, have you ever heard the story of the Christmas Eve truce of 1914 during the First World War? I love this story. German and British troops had dug into opposing trenches for months, facing each other across fields known as the no man's land, fields that were often less than 300 feet apart. Most of them had expected to be home for Christmas, but instead there was a stalemate. It was cold, they were tired, they were hungry. And on Christmas Eve, the soldiers on the German side began singing Silent Night in their language. The British soldiers joined in, and transformation happened. They all came forward. They joined one another in no man's land. They shared chocolate and goodies with each other. They showed pictures of their family. They even had a soccer match. And for that time, World War I came to a halt. Music, gifts, symbolizing the meaning of Christmas proved more powerful than artillery did or the general's orders. Christmas can bring these feelings of connection and homecoming even to a battlefield. In fact, this beautiful birth silences even the inner battlefields. That's the important piece for us to get, right? If we have an inner battlefield going on within us where we're condemning ourselves, beating ourselves up over, our past mistakes, the beautiful birth can bring peace to that internal state of turmoil. The truth of who we are is just awaiting our recognition. And we have the opportunity, wherever we find ourselves, in this temporary lodging on earth, which is our bodies, we can make this discovery and we can be the Christ in expression. Right here, right now, this day. So are you looking for some Christmas cheer? Go within. You're looking to find the perfect gift? Go within. Looking for lasting peace that passes all human understanding? Go within. This miraculous birth is our own story, you see, of coming out of hiding from self-imposed exile to re-entering the garden and awakening to the light that Isaiah foretold and discovering, as Dorothy did long ago, clicking her heels together. We all know this living in the Kansas area. There's no place like home. That's the truth of this story. That's what it brings forth for us. And let's celebrate that truth together, that there's no place like home, that wherever we find ourselves, we are here now, spirit in expression. Oneness is the truth of our beingness. And every time we remember that, the birth of the Christ happens again and again and again. So let's take a moment now to go within and to honor that truth of who we are. So I'll invite you, wherever you find yourself, to just settle back into your seat and get comfortable and relax into the moment as we become totally present. Set aside any of the hurry of the day or anything that's been on our minds. We just kind of gently put it aside so that we can take this moment and become present to the presence. God is our source. God is everywhere present, never leaves us, just awaiting our recognition. We are always divinely connected to the source. And so we open ourselves to that truth as we begin to follow our breath in and out. Don't try to change it or control it. Just notice it. And as we sink our awareness deep within the body, we relax a little more. Now just imagine you're breathing into your heart space. If you want to put your hands on your heart, go ahead and do that. Now we bring into our mind's eye someone or something that we deeply appreciate. Maybe it's a person, a beloved person in our family. Maybe it's a pet that we have that we love deeply. Maybe it's a cherished memory. Choose someone or something that activates a feeling of gratitude, and let that feeling come up and warm your heart. And as it rises, it radiates, it expands, and it fills our bodies. And just notice how that feels to have every cell of your body bathed in this healing vibration. It's a higher vibration, and it brings forth an invigoration of every cell. And we let it expand and radiate beyond the body as we create an energetic field of harmony and gratitude, appreciation. Notice how that feels. And we send it forth beyond the walls to bless our planet, to bless all those on the planet, all of life. And we give thanks for the opportunity to be spirit in action on this day, to be the presence of love and peace, to come home to the truth of who we are, to feel that oneness, which is the reality. One presence, one power, one life, living through and as each one of us. No separation. We surround our loving, dear friend Paul with our love, our blessing, our gratitude for all the gifts he has brought. For the wonder of his wisdom. And we give thanks for the opportunity to be spirit in action on this day. Knowing the birth of the Christ child is an ever increasing experience of love. And we send forth that love to bring forth a world that is kinder, more compassionate. And for this we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.